In this video lesson, we are continuing to factor, okay, but very specifically, we're going to be looking at factoring the difference of squares. Difference meaning subtraction. So the subtraction of squares, right? So 64x squared minus 25, okay? Now, we've been looking at trinomials in the standard form of ax squared plus bx plus c, but you'll notice here there's an ax squared and there's a c, but there's no plus b, okay? And I'm going to explain that in this video. And again, this is called the difference of squares. So let's take a look at an example. So if we look at this 64x squared minus 25, if we think of this 64x squared as the area of this square, I'll go ahead and write that in here. Let's say this is 64x squared, and that represented the area of this square. Well, that would mean the sides are all the same length, and when you multiply it, you get 64x squared. Well, if you think about the square root of 64x squared, well, the square root of 64 is 8, because 8 times 8 is 64, and the square root of x squared is x, because x times x equals x squared. So what I'm saying here is that the length of this square would be 8x, or the side length is 8x, and they would all be 8x, okay? All four sides would be 8x. Because again, if we did 8 times 8, we'd get 64, and x times x, we get x squared. And here, let's take a look at this this other number here. The c is 25, okay? If 25 represented the area of this other square, then the side length would be 5, okay? That's because the square root of 25 is 5. All right? So what we have here is the difference of two squares. So our terms 8x and 5, if we wanted to factor this original, if we wanted to factor the original binomial that we were given, 64x squared minus 25, we could take this 8x and 5, and our answer would be 8x plus 5 times 8x minus 5. All right? So in other words, 8x plus 5 is one of the factors. 8x plus 5 is one of the factors of 64x squared minus 25, and 8x minus 5 is the other factor of 64x squared minus 25. And let me go ahead and show you. I'm going to go ahead and work 8x plus 5 times 8x minus 5 to show y'all that we get this answer, just as a just to kind of remind you of how that works. But 8x plus 5 times 8x minus 5. And again, this is the answer that we're after. Let's go ahead and write that out. Let's say I gave you a problem and it was 8x plus 5 times 8x minus 5. And this is basically me checking my work, okay? So remember, we use the box method. We make a box with the 4 sections, okay? And then we put an 8x plus 5 and an 8x minus 5 on the side, okay? Then we're going to multiply these two terms for this answer, and then 8x and 5 for this answer. And then we'll go to negative 5 times 8x for this one, and negative 5 times positive 5 for this one. Okay, so let me go ahead and work through that. So 8x times 8x is 64x squared. And then 8x times 5 is going to be 40x. All right, and then again, we go to this negative 5. So negative 5 times 8x is negative 40x. And then finally, we have a negative 5 times positive 5, which gives us negative 25. All right, well, when you go to combine like terms, you have a positive 40x minus 40x, which means there's 0. They cancel. So then your terms that you have remaining in your box method is 64x squared minus 25. Okay? So again, I was just doing this to check your work, but this is called the difference of two squares. If you can determine that this is a perfect square, because the square root of 64 is 8, and the square root of x squared is x, so 8x, and then the square root of 25 is 5, so it's just 8x plus 5, 8x minus 5, okay? I'll do one more example just to make sure that we understand it. So here we have 36x squared minus 9, all right? Is this the difference of two squares, okay? Well, let's try this out. The square root of 36x squared equals 6x, because 6x times 6x is 36x squared. And then the square root of 9 equals 3. So yes, this is the difference of two squares. So then we could take the square roots, and it's 6x plus 3 and 6x minus 3. So if we were factoring this problem here, our answer would be 6x plus 3 times 6x minus 3. All right, and that's a look at the difference of two squares.